everyone, this is Blonde Guy Gamer, and we're here with the second game for 16-bit Winter, which is the Legendary Axe for the Turbografx 16. This will be probably the only Turbografx 16 that 16-bit Winter in its entirety will have, because Turbografx 16 is obviously a very obscure system, and yeah, I'm doing a game for it, because it is technically a 16-bit system since it came out the same time as the Genesis. So in this game you play as a barbarian named Gauntlet, who needs to go rescue his childhood friend Flare from the forces of evil, which are called an evil cult called the Jagu. So this is already pretty Conan Barbarian inspired. And this game is pretty simple. You have jumping with the one button and attacking with the axe. It's a pretty standard action platformer type of game, and we're already fighting a giant spider, which explodes with many explosions. Now, what we just picked up was an item, and you can also get other items from these idols, the Jagu idols. The power supply we got earlier increases your axe power, and another item we got earlier was a wing, which increases our attack speed. There's also health recovery and crystals for points. Now that we have a bar on the top, we can actually dish out harder, stronger attacks with the axe. As you can see, we can take out those nomads, that's what the axe enemies are called, with one hit when it's fully charged. So the mechanic behind the combat in this is that you increase your axe power through a gauge, but you have to wait for it to charge up to do stronger attacks, because if you just attack continuously, you'll just do weak attacks, but still can be effective if you're fast enough. And we're already at the first bosses of the first stage, which are these bear-like creatures, which are actually called demon giants, which to me just look like bears. These things are not too difficult. You just have to make sure you just not get hit by them too much, and there we go. We already cleared the first stage. This game is not too long, and the first two stages are especially pretty short. But the few stages that come after the first two are significantly longer. And now we're in a cave with many bats. So yeah, this is actually a game that I got with my Turbografx 16, and there's an idle hidden there to get more power. I actually got this system at my Pawn Store, and it came with a few other games too. Which includes China Warrior, which I did a video on that, mostly just to make fun of it and to reference Kung Pao, because it's not that good of a game. The rest of the games I do have, though, are, I have Kadash, I have Ninja Spirit, which I actually bought afterwards at Youmacon one year, Keith Courage in Alpha Zones, or whatever it's called. It's the game that came with the Turbografx. It's pretty meh. Like, a game like this should have been a packet game, because Legendary Axe is a pretty good game. Despite the contrary of me getting hit by these guys a lot. It's a fun, challenging game. And I do have the manual too, which is why I can explain the enemy names and the backstory. Yeah, these things are a little annoying, but as long as you just keep hitting them, they'll keep flipping in the air. And when you do that, you can just keep hitting them over and over, unless they double back and hit you there. So yeah, I'm trying to, let's see, what else do I have for the Turbografx? Oh yeah, I have Alien Crush, which is a pinball game heavily inspired by H.E. Geiger's art style from Aliens. I also have Chase HQ, and yeah, we now have Boulders. And so, we're already at the second boss, which is a giant green magic boulder that tries to kill us. This boss I can never really do that well at, because you have to hit it, but you also have to avoid it. There is a rope supposedly you can jump to get to it, but I just attack it with strong attacks until it dies, basically. Oh yeah, I also have Vigilante on the Turbografx. And I believe that's it as far as I can recall for now. And yeah, we're 5 minutes in the game and we're already at the third stage. But this is where the game gets longer, because notice that this is 3A. Zones 3 and 4 have like 3 zones each, and the 5th zone is very, very long, while the 6th stage or zone is just the final boss. So from here on, it's going to be quite a long trek to get to the end of the game. Well, the first 2 stages are, pretty short and easy. Well, this is where it gets really challenging, especially when they have these birds. But the main thing you have to know about this game right off the bat is that you can't rush in and just go in axes flailing and try and get everything as fast as you can. You have to take your time, you have to anticipate enemies' attacks, and you have to basically just time and charge up your attacks to play this game really effectively. Actually, the gameplay reminds me a lot of, and we just got an extra life from points, the game reminds me a lot of an NES game called Astyanax, which uses a similar mechanic where you charge up your weapon to do stronger attacks. And I just died. Yeah, you have 2 types of jumps. You have short and long jumps. You do shorts by tapping. I accidentally tapped the jump there. And every time you die, you lose power. But fortunately, you usually spawn near idols that give you your power back, except for there. And yeah, I kept dying, and that axe still hit me even though I was ducking. So sometimes there are moments when the hit detection can be a little iffy. Oh, and yeah, I used a code here. If you hold down the 1 button and the select button and press left on the D-pad repeatedly while you're in a game over screen, you'll get extra continues, because you usually just start off initially with 3. So I have gotten to the 4th stage with 3 continues, but at this point I was getting kind of tired, and I just wanted to finish this game and get it out for 16-bit winter for this month. So yeah, now we just kind of be more careful with our jumps, because normally I don't have problems with jumping, but we got an extra life for that. But yeah, I don't have problems with jumping, but for some reason I had, now and then the jumping can register as a tap instead of a full push. Like the controller I have for my Turbografx is still okay, but every now and then with this game it seemed to do that for some reason. But that was the only time that really happened, because otherwise the jumping was just fine. Like, the rest of the controls and everything is still good for this game, and it still functions quite well. Yeah, and these guys, they'll alternate between throwing axes overhand and underhand. So yeah, if you thought the axe knights from Castlevania were annoying, then these guys, in my opinion, are more annoying to deal with, because they're faster, and you need a full, at least a half charge of an axe attack to kill them in one hit. Otherwise they'll just somersault back, and you have to deal with like 2 of them, and you don't want to deal with more than 1 of these guys, because then it gets hectic and annoying, and you'll lose health. And wow, I'm having trouble dealing with a moth. That's pretty pathetic. But fortunately, if we go down here and cross this moving platform and, well, deal with this bird first, there's some health at the end of here from these idols. And yeah, there's different types of health too. The small ones just restore like 1 peg of health. Larger ones restore 3, and then there's like a full red one that restores restores about 2/3 of your health. So those are always good if you get bombarded by enemies, and But of course, if you're careful and you time yourself correctly, you can get through most enemies without problems. And yeah, the rope swing in here is a little tricky, because you have to time it so that the second rope you go to has to be coming towards you as you're jumping, which may sound, simple, but if you jump at the rope when it's like already close to you, by the time you jump off, it'll swing away from you, and then you can fall and die. I've had that happen many times, so it's not as simple as something like Donkey Kong Country. You basically have to jump to the ropes when it's like right next to you. You have to wait for it to actually swing to you, so I guess it's a bit more realistic in that sense. Yeah, so now we're in the second part of the third stage, B, and we have to deal with these guys, which mostly just jump around, but as long as you just hit them while they're in the air, they're not too hard to deal with. And you got these guys that slide in. Again, you just gotta hit them before they reach you. So you just have to be good to react and time it correctly. And here's the rope thing I was talking about again. See, if I jump there, I know the rope will just swing away from me and I'll just fall. Because, believe me, through multiple playthroughs, I've learned how the timing works for these ropes. So, hope you like me just being careful and waiting for the right time to actually jump on these ropes, because I'm gonna do that a lot, because I don't like to die in this game. Well, of course you wouldn't want to die in games to begin with, but if you do die in this game, you are set back quite a bit. Checkpoints aren't that frequent in this game, because, well, it's an older game, and even though I used that code to get the extra continues, it's still pretty much a hassle to go through everything to get up to where you were. And these guys will just jump out and spit fireballs at you. And the best way to deal with these guys that come to life, like the golems, are, or what's the manual say they are? I believe they're like rockmans, yeah, rockmen. You just have to, if you duck, they won't punch you. But of course you can also move away when they come to life too. Yeah, and these platforms are... the platforming isn't bad, but it can be a little picky right there. And it can be quite easy to, like, accidentally move while you're in the air, because your movement is a bit sensitive. It's responsive, but sensitive. I'll put it that way. So, you pretty much have to be, like, exact to do it properly, but it's not difficult or anything, really. And, oh, we got these guys, the cavemen. These guys have pretty erratic patterns, because they'll constantly go back and forth, and if you aren't, fast enough to attack them, they can get a hit off of you, and they have quite long range, so those guys can be a little annoying to deal with. And, these logs look familiar. Super Mario Bros. 2, anyone? And we just got a key, which unlocks this waterfall to get a bunch of items. That's the only key that I could find, or that I know of, where that unlocks like a secret little path to get extra items and stuff. The manual lists it off as like finding secret areas in the game. I don't know if there's like more than that one, but and oh wow, yeah. If you like getting knocked back in games like Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania, then you'll love this game, because getting knocked back and falling and dying is again, like in those, quite easy to do in this. But fortunately, we'll just get our power back here and get back on the waterfall. I do have to say, though, that for a game that was released back in 1999 or 1998 even in Japan, this is actually pretty impressive in terms of like the graphics and the sound and everything. Like, this is probably like, one of the earliest, I guess you could say, 16-bit games, and it still holds up reasonably well. So I'm glad I did get this with the Turbografx, because it surprised me. And deal with that guy. And then as soon as we cross this second totem, the boss will spawn, which are a bunch of these guys. These guys are called Aqua Lungs. Insert song joke here. So yeah, they're basically just like these. You just have to deal with a swarm of them. And as long as you stay ducked and in a corner, they won't really hit you. Of course, if you try and deal with them one at a time, you'll notice that the patterns, they'll get more spread out. And so they all follow the same pattern. So, I got hit there for some reason. So if they follow the same pattern, but if they're all spread out, it makes it difficult for you to actually try and hit these guys when you have to stay constantly ducked, because you're in a constant cycle of these guys doing their patterns in different times. So it can be quite easy to kind of get, I guess, stuck just stuck ducking here, and the fire can still, like, you know, hit your toes or whatever. So yeah, it can be pretty annoying to wait for these guys. And of course, if you get reckless like here, your health will just get drained. And even though there are different totems there that can give you health, they usually only give you like a little bit of health, or sometimes even just points. So it's best to just be patient and just wait this out, and wait for the opportunities to actually hit these guys. So yeah, I hope you like watching me just duck here for the next minute or so, because that's basically how I deal with these guys, until I just eventually lose my patience and just attack them. And of course, none of these things actually gave me health. Usually they give you health, but sometimes they just give you points. Which, points, you know, well, I guess they do matter here, because they do give you extra lives for every set point value. You know, that's the thing with games with point systems, and it's like, people will say, oh, the points, you know, they're pointless these days, haha. But you know, I don't mind point systems that actually have a purpose where they can actually give you extra lives. And wow, I almost died there, but we cleared it. So I do like a point system if it gave you extra lives, basically. But other than that, yeah, there's not really much of a incentive to actually get a high score. Well, except for online leaderboards these days, but whatever. And right off the bat, in the fourth zone, we get attacked by two cavemen, which can be pretty easy to get blindsided, you know, since you're getting surrounded. But we clear those and we open this log door, I guess. And we're now in a cave, or another cave. And look, another boulder. Fortunately, we just get that, and the boulder gives you a lot of points, so I got an extra life from that. And we have these guys again. These are amoebas, the manual calls them. These are more powerful than the ones we encountered in the second zone, so like in that zone, the best way to deal with those guys is just wail on them until they die. And there's a hidden totem there where we can get some extra health if we need it. And yeah, the aqua lungs are here too. We just fought them as a boss, but now they're here as regular enemies. Fortunately, at least in this stage, you only fight them one at a time. And we have some pretty standard platforming here. And ropes. So, this game was made by Victor Entertainment, I believe it was called. Victor Interactive Software, rather. So, and I couldn't really find much information about them other than they published some Harvest Moon games and some other games like that. But I did know that they eventually merged with a company that eventually became Marvelous Entertainment, which published games like Muramasa the Demon Blade. So, you know, that's cool. And yeah, this game actually did get a lot of some good praise back in the day too. It actually won best. Let me just double check here. It won Best Game of the Year for the Turbografx in 1989 in Electronic Gaming Monthly, and it was even the Video Game of the Year for all consoles in video games and computer entertainment. And if you go on Wikipedia and just look at the reception, it got quite good reception back then. So it's definitely a game that it's considered quite good for the Turbografx. And yeah, I'm glad I'm glad I got this. You know, it definitely makes up for something like you know, China Warrior, which is a pretty bad game. So yeah, we just yeah, this game is just all about just waiting it out. You have to take your time with this game, otherwise you will get swarmed and you will die. And I should note that for every like quarter of power Gorgon has, his color aurora will change depending on how powerful he is. And the best way I deal with this situation here is just jump and up. Well, I was trying to lure the Rockman to fall off, but then that moth threw me off. So yeah, let's just get our power back and get back to that. All right, this time. Whoa, I just barely missed that moth. Yeah, the moths can screw you over. There's a lot of flying enemies that can actually, that are meant to just be in the air to like fly into you if you like jump into them or something. And now we're in the last part of the fourth stage, which is the most difficult. Basically, we have to just go through this area, and actually, if we jump down, yeah, there's pits that can trap you. There's like false blocks you can fall through, and we have to deal with enemies if we fall down in them. In this case, it's the tarantula again, except this time we now have more powerful axe, and we can take care of it much easier. And now we have full power. Now that, and you can tell when Gorgon glows white, and yeah, now we can take care of most enemies in one hit when it's fully powered up. And even on idols, it'll make this, this huge sound effects and everything will flash. It's pretty satisfying. But of course, you have to wait for it to like fully charge up, and you have to time it just right, especially against these cavemen that like move back and forth, and you gotta wait for it. And then see, I anticipated too early there, and I missed, and now I can't fully charge it up. Now you just gotta take take pot shots at it until it dies. And there are enemies later on where they're really strong. So yeah, I fell down that. And there's monkeys which can grab you and take health. And they're really annoying because they can actually chain react you and kill you that way. But yeah, there are stronger enemies, starting with the bosses in this stage, where you pretty much need to do 4, the fully powered strikes in order to actually kill them effectively. Like usually 2 fully powered strikes will take care of the stronger enemies you encounter later on. But of course, if you try and do like quick shots and like half power shots, even like half power shots and stuff like that, will take like forever to kill them. See, now I got these spearmen, which are Punjabis, and they have shields, they have long reach, they are very annoying to deal with, and the best strategy to deal with these guys is trying to get in a corner and attack them. The only problem is that their spears, even when you're ducked, can still hit you from a pretty far distance, and your axe doesn't have that much reach. So yeah, I had to do this quite a bit. One thing I did notice though is that sometimes you get a 1-up here, which I find kind of odd because sometimes they don't appear. And yeah, that's what the monkeys do. If they grab onto you, they take away like 2 health. So let's try this again. And okay, managed to get a 4 hit off him even though he was blocking, but that still did damage, I believe. And again, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, which is to get in a corner and basically just still get at it. And I managed to kill 1 because I got a 4 hit off of him, or a 4 charge hit off of him. And I tried to get the health back, but he hit me anyway. Okay, I'm just gonna, there we go. Now he's like backing off. So let's just jump in and yeah, get him on an overhead strike there with the full charge there. And that took care of him, and now we move on to the 5th stage, or the 5th zone, which is the last zone before the final boss, but it's really, really long. In fact, it's going to be half this video, this entire zone, basically. So right now, we just have this part here, and oh look! We get to fight these guys as regular enemies now. How lovely. So, I hope you like bosses that get used as enemies from here on out, because challenge, I guess. Yeah, but the best way to deal with these guys, even though I'm trying to be defensive but it's not really working, is get fully charged hits off of them, because 2 of them will do them in, basically, and at least you don't have to deal with two like in the end of the last stage from both sides. This guy is, cause like see how I'm like doing, see how many like hits it took without the fully charged. Yeah, basically you do want to get fully charged. Fortunately, there's some health here. And we have some pits, and whoa, we just barely missed that axe. So we have these nomads here. These guys are jerks because, yeah, if you jump right away, you'll most likely get hit by their axe and have to start all over. And notice how I kept dying and before I reached the idols, and I lost all my power. And that's something you don't want to have at this point in the game because all the enemies, or at least most of them, are really strong. And if you just basically you're just taking pot shots at them, and it'll take them forever to kill them. What you want to do here is to duck before you jump across and wait for the axes to get thrown, because there's usually one or two of these guys that'll throw an axe no matter what, and you'll just get hit and die. Fortunately, your axe can actually deflect most things thrown at you, such as fireballs, axes, tarantula spit, and all that stuff. So, but of course, you're better off just trying to hit them directly instead of like trying to deflect them, because otherwise you'll just not hit them. Well, obviously. And we have this part here, which we have more of these sliding guys. They're reskin sliding guys. They're stronger, they're faster, and they can hit you quite easily, especially on the left side, because you're farther on the left, and because you're going left, you don't have much time to react to the guys coming in from the left. So, fortunately, it's a little annoying there. But fortunately, that doesn't last very long. So we get more of our power back. There we go. Now we got our full power back, thankfully. And oh no, giant monkey or an ape man, as they're called in the manual. Okay, yeah, that's not working. Basically, you have to pretty much do like 2 fully charged hits against these guys to kill them. Because anything else, they will take forever to get killed, and I died. Yay. Let's try this again. Okay, so walk away from him when it comes to the wall or when it's throwing something at you, and come on. It's always one of those things where it's like it takes longer for it just to fill up the last of the bar there, and it's like, oh, come on. But there we go, it's dead. Alright. Now we just gotta deal with the second one. Oh, that rock still hit me. Fortunately, we hit him back. And, come on. Just gotta wait for it to charge up. There we go. One thing I will say about this part of the stage, probably the best music in the game. The music's actually pretty good, even though there's not that many tracks. But but yeah, but I like this track. It's quite good for a Turbografx 16 game, or PC Engine game, whichever you want to call it. And, I'm always like a pixel off, but I don't want to get too close, otherwise I don't want to get hit, you know. But there we go, it's dead. You know, I actually did know about the Turbografx before I found one, thanks to the Wii's Virtual Console. I've actually played a few games off of there, like Military Madness and a couple shooters and stuff. Although I haven't played games like Monk's Revenge yet on this, though. I want to at least try those games out. And there's also games like the Turbografx version of Splatterhouse I wouldn't mind getting, even though that one is pretty expensive. I mean, there's some good games on the Turbografx. The only problem is that, you know, it's a fairly obscure console, so tracking down or even finding these games can be a little bit of a hassle, unless you do like eBay or something. Okay, and oops. It's not the way to deal with that guy. Yeah. Because, like I said, this system originally came with like 7 games that I found with it, and the only game I've bought outside of that was Ninja Spirit from when you're at Youmacon, at a vendor there. Since then, I haven't gotten a new Turbografx game, unless you count the Wii's Virtual Console. I got like a Turbografx CD shooter for that. So yeah, there was also a CD add-on for the system. As if the Sega CD wasn't obscure enough, try finding one for the Turbografx at a decent price. Or even the Turbo Duo, which was like the Turbografx and the CD together one system. Although that I actually wouldn't mind, because that I believe has AV out, while the Turbografx actually doesn't. I actually did this through my VCR to get the game footage, because Turbografx only has RF input. So I had to input that through my VCR and output an AVI into my Dazzle, and that's how we're getting the footage here today. So if you see that bit of like RF greenness, well, that's why. So this is what I like to call the gauntlet, because we're now in basically the... Oops, I got killed by a bat, how embarrassing. Well, I was low on health anyway, so might as well restart here anyway. Yeah, this is the gauntlet because, this is basically, as, well, the manual has call it, the evil place, which is a mountain stronghold from the Jagu, where they have your, well, it's basically your girlfriend, even though it's just depicted as your childhood friend, but come on, you know they're probably gonna get romantically involved anyway. So yeah. So this is basically like a long series of hallways full of enemies we have to go through, and notice how it says 5B? Well, you're gonna see a lot of letters throughout this stage, and fortunately we can just avoid those guys and just go through the door. But not only is this a very long sequence of rooms, but we also have to deal with a maze portion of it. Basically, there's like alternate routes that can split off, and if you pick the wrong one, you basically double back to an earlier part of this castle and have to go through all those enemies again. Like right here. I'm just pausing here to look at a walkthrough because this section is already long enough to begin with as it is, and I don't want to spend like even more time just getting lost and losing lives and continues and all that stuff. Because even though I had like over 24, I lost quite a few of them during like the fourth zone's boss and this area, and of course the final bosses too. So I didn't want to risk too much in like game overing and having to do yet another playthrough of this. Because, well, you know, it's not that I don't like the game, obviously. I do like it, but it's just one of those things where you obviously don't want to do it again after like several times. Well, unless you want to do it legit without that code I mentioned earlier, but it's still pretty difficult, especially when you get up to this point of the game. But I guess with some practice, you could do this entire game without cheating, basically. But I still think But I still beat this game, you know, regardless, so it's not like I didn't get the full experience of the game. I just took a bit of a shortcut with the extra continues, really. But whatever, make of it what you will, as I hack at the knees of this caveman while still dying regardless. Oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention is that the axe itself, or the title drop, is an axe that Gorgon got from village elders. So that's where the legendary portion of the axe comes from, I guess, is that it's basically like just an axe called Sting that's given to you by the elders of the village. Because Flare was offered as an annual sacrifice to the Jagu, which is their leader. Yeah, notice how we like went down and now we're like in 5I and now 5J. Yeah, the alphabet doesn't go in order with this level. It'll like jump around in different like sections of different parts of the alphabet, basically. It's kind of weird that way. Because you would think it would go in order of the actual alphabet, but no. it doesn't. It like jumps all over the place. Like you'll be in like 5I and then in 5T and then you'll be like in like 5I, J, K, L and then T. It's like I don't know why it's like that. I guess maybe there's like other rooms in between for like maybe with like extra health or whatever, but it's not something that you obviously want to do, because then you'll just double back and have to go through everything. See, I just fell. And speaking of like doubling back, this is what happens if you like accidentally fall through the wrong path or something. Yeah, now we're back in 5D. How fun. Let's just get back to where we were and jump over that instead of getting knocked down into it. And deal with these aqualungs, which now come in like packs of 2. And yeah, you'll definitely want to take your time with this game, because and like wait till you fully charge, because it's easier to deal with all the enemies when you have a full set of art. Oh, and we have a new enemy. These women, they're called ball throwers. I'm not kidding. Basically, when they get up close to you, they'll throw these little balls. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And when you hit them, they'll turn to a bat, and then they'll drop their balls. Yeah, God. No matter what I say about these enemies, they'll just sound bad. It doesn't help that they're women either. Oh well, that's video games for you. But yeah, they're not too difficult to deal with. You just gotta kill them and then jump over the bats and balls. Oh, and these statues. These are Jaggies, I believe. And yeah, that's not a reference to Monster Hunter either. But they'll just spit fireballs at you. But their pattern is tricky to avoid getting hit from. It is possible to not get hit by them, but I haven't done it that often to not get hit. And oh great, I just died. Again, yeah, you'll see me die a lot in this game, in case you haven't already. Oh, and yeah, this part here, 5L, is the longest, by far, the longest stretch of the game. Or hallway, whatever you want to call it. And there is a lot to contend with in this section. So basically, you just want to take your time, deal with these aqualungs, and jaggy statues, and ball throwers, and all this other stuff. Now, there is one thing about this game that you have to keep in mind is, if you get hit once while fully charged, sometimes you won't lose your charge, but sometimes you will. I haven't exactly figured it out yet, but I think it depends on how much damage gets dealt to you. Like if you get hit by like a small thing or something that doesn't do much damage, you'll still keep your charge. But if you get hit by that again, or you get hit by something that's stronger or does more damage, you'll lose the charge, which can be quite annoying, especially if you like miss but then get hit like there, and then your charge gets reset, and you can only deal like small hits against these guys, and you can get hit continuously. So it's quite easy to fall into this like trap, I guess, where it's like if you miss your full charge shot, and then you don't get a shot at you don't get a decent shot at the enemies. You just have to basically just wail away at them. Oh, excuse me, until they die. Fortunately, picking up the speed power-ups, the wing power-ups, does help a little bit with like being able to, attack faster. But of course, if you don't react quick enough, you'll still get hit, like there with the aqualungs. So it's still quite an arduous task to deal with most enemies. But, I guess that's just part of the challenge, really. Oh, great. I don't want to die this aqualung when I'm like this far in the game. Oh, that was close. That was very close right there. Oh, fortunately we got a large health from that. And, see, that's another problem with those statues is you can hit the fire instead, and that'll use up your charge attack, and then you just gotta like take pot shots at it until it dies. Fortunately, it only takes like 3 small hits to defeat them, or at least a 3/4 charge shot. If you do the math correctly, you can actually figure out how many hits and how much charge per hit, Like if an enemy takes 2 hits, it'll take like 1/2 charge to kill, for example. Fortunately, we do want to go down here. And yeah, now we're in 5T. We went from L to T. That's not how the alphabet works, but whatever. Okay, now we got... oh, great. Now we have 3 of these things. No. Jeez, no. No, I'm just gonna avoid those things. Yeah, screw those things. But we're getting to the home stretch. We still got a bit of stretch to go, but we're getting there. Fortunately, we have some health, and oh no, I don't want to fall down there. Otherwise, I'll like double back and have to do like L all over again, probably. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the crystals can alternate between large and small. Small ones give you 1,000 points, and large ones give you 5,000 points. But it's usually random in what crystal you get. There's a small chance that you get the bigger ones, while most of the time you get smaller ones. And great, we have a nice smorgasbord of enemies here to deal with. Especially these amoebas. Or amobas? I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I'm just reading off the manual. Because even though, I don't have this game in the case, but I do have the manual with it, so at least it'll help me there, knowing what the actual terminology and the enemies are called in this game. Like those vampire bats, even though you could just call them bats. Well, whatever. And that guy's just sort of stuck there. But fortunately, we want to go down anyway. And, oh great. More aqua lungs. See, sometimes you can duck and they won't hit you with the fire, but then oftentimes, I guess if you're just off by a little bit, they'll still hit you with the fire. And we're almost dead. Again. But fortunately, okay, we just went back to 5M. But yeah, fortunately, if you die in a new section of the level, you'll just start off again here. And we managed to kill one of those cavemen, but died. But fortunately, we just come back right where we are, since we're in a new room. Even though we just lost a quarter of our power. And we only have 2 of them to deal with instead of 3, since the one we killed counted. Which is actually nice of the game for it to do there. Okay. We're getting there. I promise. We just got like a few more rooms to go. Yeah, this is I guess one of the only things I don't really like that much of the game is like this stretch of the game where it's just like really long. A really long last level. Like, it's way too long. When they should have just made the first 2 stages a little bit longer and then this a bit shorter. And otherwise it would have been fine. But otherwise it just feels a little unbalanced, you know? But, well, whatever. I mean, it's an early Turbografx game. It was actually a launch title for the Turbografx in North America, I believe. So, I'm not going to fault it too much. But that doesn't mean I won't address the issues, I guess. Well, great. Let's just avoid him and move on. Get up to 5P. Oh great, now we got these statues and oh, I managed to avoid that, but the sliding nomad guy got me anyway. Yeah, oh good, game over. We haven't seen that in a while, because I've been cutting out the deaths. See, I've already used up 9 continues at this point. That's just how much I died in this game, really. Because, well, I never played this game before, and this was the first time I beat it, so there were definitely some trials I had to contend with, and how to deal with it and everything. But fortunately, we can go down and get our speed back up. And yeah, every time you die, you lose your attack speed too. So, but fortunately, the game is decent enough for you to like get back your power and speed at the next totems. It's not unlike in Castlevania where if you die you like lose your whip power-ups, but then the next candle will usually give you at least 1 power-up anyway, so at least the game is at least a little bit forgiving in that sense. Because otherwise if you kept dying and losing all your power until you get to these totems, it'd be very difficult. Well, that did happen to me at one point in the first part of the 5th zone, but great. Yeah, I'm just gonna avoid these guys, or at least try and get past them without... Because if I just try and attack them, I'll just eventually lose health and die, because I don't even have full power yet. So... And we want to go down here. Okay, and that music means we're getting up to a boss. And here we are, actually. The manual doesn't list it off, but according to walkthroughs I've seen, this is called a panda. I could kind of see the resemblance of a panda, but other than that, it just shoots fireballs and is demon-looking, and it already killed me. So yeah, that was fast. Several lives and continues later, I actually managed to figure out the pattern. Also by looking at, like, video walkthroughs and stuff, or playthroughs rather, like long plays. Basically, if you just stay here, the fireballs won't reach you, but of course you still gotta like go up and attack it without getting hit, which is tricky. So you have to time it just right to get off a 4 hit, like there. You can hit the fireballs with your axe, which maybe would have helped a little bit here. That way I could like hit him and then I could quickly go up and attack it. But then sometimes they'll transport over here. And, you can duck under them too, but of course he'll like inch forward and hit you regardless. But yeah, now I'm playing it really safe here because I don't want to lose even more lives to this guy, because he's technically not the final boss. He's just the boss before the final boss, basically. And has really annoying fireballs with patterns that are hard to deal with. Even though I never did try to actually hit them. I probably should have actually done that now that I think about it, but whatever, that's just hindsight for you. Okay, there we go, I managed to get a good hit there. And back to this strategy. Because if you stay mostly to the left, he'll mostly just stay to the right, unless he teleports. But you would think he would teleport more to the right, because he can just teleport on top of you and take damage that way, but I guess that would make him too difficult. Like there. And we killed him! There. And we got 50,000 points for that. Wow. And okay. So now that we dealt with the panda, I still don't know why it's called panda, but that's just what walkthroughs I've read up said that's what he is. Now we're in the final zone, which is just a stretch of totems to get your power and health back up. And we now have the final boss to deal with, which is Jagu himself. Wait for Axe to fully charge, and let's go in. And yeah, basically all the bosses and demons come together and form this thing. Yeah. Isn't he quite the looker? This guy is basically just a large boss, and it's quite easy to get hit by him if he jumps into you. You can stay under him there, but when he jumps, he'll do like a kick, and that kick will hit you regardless. So, like, you can wail at him or do 4-hit charges, but or 4 charge hits, but honestly, it's best to just wail at him, especially if you get lucky and get 2 wing power-ups, which will double your speed, so you can just hack away much faster at him that way. Again, I only got lucky and got those 2 power-ups before fighting him. See, I can now attack much faster, and I'm being just slightly more cautious, and I was trying to get to the other side, but because you basically want to try and get on each side of him. But, oops, wrong way. But yeah, basically all you can do is just wail on his knees and ankles until he dies. And yeah. So, my advice to deal with this boss is to try and at least get 2 speed power-ups, and then that'll usually give you enough attacks off of him to actually kill him. See, he's almost dead because he's changing color. And I'm just wailing away at him, and there we go. He is dead. And we just beat the game. Hooray! And there's Flare. Yay! And he points off. I don't know what he's pointing to. Maybe he's like, man, look at my health bar. I almost died to that guy. Ugh. But yeah. And we get credits. So that's Legendary Axe. It's quite a good game for the Turbografx 16. Unfortunately, it's not on the Virtual Console, but it's I don't think it's that expensive to get either if you do have a Turbografx system. There is actually a sequel to this game too, which I wouldn't mind maybe tracking down or getting a copy off eBay or whatever and do a They Made a Sequel episode on that because, well, it's the only like Turbografx 16 game sequel that I actually know of, really. And I would like to do more stuff about Turbografx, but I only have a few games for it and stuff. So yeah, this was a Legendary Axe for 60-bit Winter. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, it's quite a good game for 1989. And I am going to do more 16-bit games too for other systems. I'm going to try and do one for the Genesis and the Sega CD. And it thanked us for playing. How nice. So, that's it for this game. We'll see you later. And it just leaves on the end until you turn it off. So, bye.